Hello, welcome to the Self-Awareness Podcast with your host Summer B. So glad to have y'all. Now I'm taking a couple weeks off because I've been transitioning, getting ready for grad school. So this is one of the first episodes I'm going to record in a new city right before I start grad school. So hopefully I can still post regularly, but I'm going to do my best. That's all you can do at the end of the day. So we're going to go ahead and jump in. So if you don't know, welcome to Wellness Wednesday with the Self-Awareness Podcast with your host, Summer B. The path to being able to discover yourself or change your habits all start with you. The Self-Awareness Podcast purpose is to provide knowledge to achieving a healthy relationship with yourself so you can reach your fullest potential. This podcast is centered around how to convert your subconscious mind to your conscious mind to guide you to become more self-aware. I will post episodes on our Wellness Wednesdays centered around topics to help us become more self-aware. I will have special guests, interviews, and more. For updates and reminders, please check out the podcast Instagram page at Self-Aware Podcast. Again, at Self-Aware Podcast. And then the podcast Facebook page at Self-Aware Podcast 1. Again, that's at Self-Aware Podcast 1. And with that, let's get into the topic for our 18th episode. Now, I also want to point out, in the description below, you'll be able to see my link tree, and that will route you to the website, all this social media, YouTube and TikTok. So please make sure you check that out. So today's episode, we're going to be focused on gaining a deeper understanding on self-awareness, discussing why I believe self-awareness is key to discovering the truest version of yourself, and lastly, why I named my podcast the Self-Awareness Podcast. So we're going to start off with this quote. Look outside and you will see yourself. Look inside and you will find yourself. By Gerald. I also want to start off by asking you these 3 questions. Do you at times struggle with facing the hard truths about yourself? Question 2. Do you reflect on your choices in life? And question 3. Do you consider yourself self-aware? So reflect on those questions. And I also want to, my slogan for this episode is dare to be self-aware. If you feel like you're not a self-aware person and you're still going through the process of figuring out who you are, discovering yourself, discovering your purpose, discovering what you love, going through building that relationship with yourself, my slogan for you today is dare to be self-aware. For me, becoming more self-aware is how I started understanding Summer more. So I bet that can also help you in your process of discovering yourself more as well. So you might be asking yourself, what exactly is self-awareness? Okay, well, self-awareness is a conscious knowledge of one's character, feelings, motives, values, and desires. That's what self-awareness basically is in a nutshell. But what we really want to know is what is the purpose of being self-aware. So becoming self-aware, you can gain a deeper understanding of yourself, but only if you're honest and accept yourself for where you currently are in life. Accepting yourself for your strengths, your weaknesses, your imperfections, your mistakes, and also your wins. You also have to understand that self-awareness is an evolving process of knowing who you truly are and just giving yourself grace going through, okay, I was at this place right here, and then trying to figure out why you made certain decisions, why you let people influence you to do certain things, why did you accept certain behaviors from other people, why did you have certain friend groups, where were you, what state of mind were you at that state. And then you can start to figure out, okay, I was going through something where I didn't have healthy boundaries. So that's how I let this friend do this. And then just going through that process of, okay, now that I'm aware of that, that tendency I used to have, I'm going to heal from it. I'm going to change it. And that's really what self-awareness is. It's like a puzzle of you basically seeing this part of yourself, really your brain, and just saying, okay, this is something I used to do. How can I place another piece in this puzzle to make it to who I truly want to be? And like I said, it's an evolving process. And for me, self-awareness and becoming more self-aware in my journey of self-awareness has really helped me, has been one of the foundations of helping me become and transform and to have a different mindset and a different viewpoint on life. I used to look at life very like black and white. It's either this way or that way. But as I evolved, I've seen, I've really just witnessed how life is really complex and has a lot of gray areas. And for me, you know, it took a lot of self-reflection and being honest, but something that really started me on my journey was just really just going to therapy. Just going to therapy, and my therapist would ask me certain questions, and it just got me to ponder, it got me to wonder, it really got me to think. So then within doing that, I had to really think inward, think within myself, and I had to change my thinking on a lot of different topics for me to really understand them fully so I can get a better understanding of myself. And that's really what self-awareness is getting a better understanding of self to propel to a better version of self. But it's really challenging. It can be really challenging, and it could be a months to years process. You know, I'm self-aware of certain things now, but there's still certain things I still want to improve. So I had to become more self-aware of you know, why do I do certain things? You know, I just was talking about having positive self-talk in a couple episodes back. And I went through a situation. Like I said, I'm new to the school that I'm currently attending, and I ended up getting the wrong parking pass. On the map, it looked like I got the right one, but actually being here in person, I got the wrong one. So now it caused the issue where my car is so far away from where I live. So I parked in a certain place and thinking that I was in the right place. Turns out I wasn't. So I was mad at myself. I was making this long walk, really just, I call myself an idiot. I'll be honest. I'll be vulnerable. I call myself an idiot, but then I was like, well, I'm not an idiot because I just genuinely didn't know, it's just going through that process of why did I even call myself an idiot? And because it's really human to make mistakes. So that's why, like, in this process of self-awareness, it's a lot of giving yourself grace and understanding that it can be very up and down. Like, for a few months, you might have never said anything negative to yourself, and then there's a certain instance where you mess up, you call yourself that, and just still understanding like you made a huge progress, but however, it's still something you have to continue to practice. So I after I did that, I really taught myself down and was like, listen, Summer, it's honestly okay. Like, this is your very first time doing something like this. It's going to be a process. It's trial and error, and don't do that to yourself anymore. So it's like a lot of picking yourself up. You know what I'm saying? And with that, that's just a recent example of being self-aware. But going through the process of the journey and doing self-reflection, another part that helped me become more self-aware was just questioning how I truly felt about things. It's crazy. I started my process of self-awareness in 2020 when we had, the most recent Black Lives Matter thing going on. We also had COVID, so that was a whole other thing. A lot of political stuff, getting a new president and whatnot. So it was just a lot of things going on, and it made you really question not just, where I currently was in life, but like just the whole state of the world, the state of the country. And you really start to like really figure out how sometimes things that people told you or things that people try to portray, either like, in the media. Sometimes you have to really figure out where you're getting your information, and if you're getting fed the correct information or is it misinformation, and really just being able to research and find out things for yourself. So that's what I did. I started a whole like research process on things that I truly like didn't understand, and I truly thought I had understanding on it, but I never did. And this, to me, this also helps you in your self-aware process because it helps develop your worldview. And your worldview is really kind of correlated to like your self-image and how you feel about yourself, how you feel like the world views you, how the world treats you, and just accepting the hard truths, and also accepting, different ways to overcome it, different ways that you still can value and love yourself, even if you see the world not really valuing and caring about yourself. A verse that really helped me through this process, I can't think of it on top of my head, but it's about renewing your mind. It says to be transformed by this world and be renewed in your mind. It's something like that. I can't think of it. Let me Google it. I have time. Okay. All right. It's Romans 12, 2. Do not conform to any longer to the do not conform any longer to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Then you will be able to test and approve what God's will and his good, pleasing, and perfect will. Facts. So that's what really helped me through this process. And of course, one of the things that I've been trying to figure out as a recent is how God really speaks to me. And certain people say sometimes you get a feeling, sometimes you get like a sign, or sometimes he will talk to you in meditation or prayer, place something on your spirit, or sometimes it will be a voice in your head. And some people say that it's your actual voice, so sometimes it's like hard to figure out if it's you talking to yourself or if it's God talking to you. And sometimes it's easier to detect when the devil plants thoughts in your head, because those are the enemy, because those thoughts they bring anxiety, they bring depression, they bring sadness. And the thoughts of God bring you peace, they bring you sound mind. So it's easier to dissect those, but trying to dissect your thoughts and God speaking to you can be different. But I know for 100% fact that throughout my self-awareness journey, that God was speaking to me, because a lot of these things I just couldn't just come up with, like a lot of these things I just couldn't figure out. A lot of these pieces to the puzzle just didn't just piece together randomly. So I give all the glory and thanks to God for that one. But he's been the source of my self-awareness journey, and starting this podcast and pushing myself outside my comfort zone, applying to my dream school for graduate programs, like just tapping in and aligning and being obedient to what God has for my life has also propelled and helped me in my purpose. Like it's all really intertwined to me. It's all really intertwined to, putting God first and then understanding yourself mentally and just going through that process. I feel like then your spirituality will start to align. You developing relationships will start to align. Being able to try different things, go different places, all of that will start to align. The more you dare to be self-aware and figure out what works best for you. Because for me and how I was raised, relying on God is what, got you through situations, either the good or the bad. So you might have been taught something differently. So you have to really become self-aware to figure out what works for you? Is that following the religion that your parents taught for you, or is that following and discovering different religions, tapping into different things, or is it just a process of researching different things, or it could be just talking to your friend about it, going on TikTok and seeing what other people have to say, or just opening and reading the Bible yourself. The more you're self-aware, the more you can start to figure out how you want to develop yourself, and then in turn developing that relationship with God, if that's something that you value or if that's something that you don't value. I think it's important, if you've been raised in the church, to go through a process of making sure that this is what you want to do, making sure that you truly believe for yourself, you truly love for yourself, so it's genuine. In anything that you do, any endeavor that you pursue, make sure you're genuine about it. Be genuine. Don't be fake. Just don't do something because it's trendy, or just don't do something because for likes or clicks. Be self-aware for yourself, because you truly love yourself. You want the best for yourself and your future. And when you do this, you really can start to discover and learn different things about yourself, and it's really cool. And I'm still just in the beginning of learning things about myself, and you can really just sit back and reflect on certain things. And I've encouraged a lot of people in this podcast to journal, to reflect, and just learn more about themselves. And I really believe just starting the process of becoming self-aware is really powerful. And one of the first questions I asked you is, are you self-aware? And for me, I feel like what I really emphasized in the beginning was, do you are you honest, and do you accept yourself for your strengths, weaknesses, imperfections, mistakes, and wins? And do you struggle at times facing the hard truths about yourself? Because some people might be like, oh, I'm self-aware, but still aren't self-aware. And I give you a perfect example of what I saw today. So no shade to this rapper, to this artist. I won't even mention their name. But basically, one of the biggest things that this artist raps about is violence, is killing, is spraying the block, which is also known as killing. And that's really how he got famous, is about shooting, murdering people. So he now sees in his city how people are doing this, like how children are getting murdered, and he was like, how this is making him depressed, and how people need to stop the violence. So then people commented underneath his post, one of his song lyrics, how he was talking about killing people. So then he goes on live and he's talking about how, that music is just for entertainment. That's to, get my money and to help my family get out of a bad situation. He was like, if I was to rap about, Jesus Christ and giving back to the community, nobody's going to stream it. Listen, I got bills to be paid, and, to help my family. And if I didn't do that, I'll either be, doing this or doing that. And to me, people have mixed reviews on this, but to me, it's like, I understand his point. Like, his music is for entertainment, and then who he is in real life, he says he gives back to the community. I can understand that point. However, music has a huge influence on people, whether they know it or not, whether subconscious or conscious or not. And when you're consistently talking about putting words, putting energy out into the world, whether it's for play or fake or not, about violence, whether you're promoting it or not, whether it's just for entertainment or not, if you're consistently doing this on multiple different occasions, but then you also expect people to not do what you're talking about, it gives very much confusion. And to me, that's somebody that hasn't tapped into their self-awareness journey. Because when you're doing something that is within your purpose and that is truly right, everything is going to make sense. Everything is going to align. And when it's something isn't aligning and if something is not adding up, then there's something that you have to discover within yourself and be honest with yourself and reflect. Until this rapper reflects on, well, maybe, my lyrics, my albums don't really promote a positive message. And even, I made millions of dollars. I could change to rapping about helping people and rapping about seeing people, just spreading out a different message instead of consistently making the same message about killing people. Because to me, and I think if he goes on that self-awareness journey, things will start to align with how he truly feels, what he claims to feel. And that's what, you have to go through as well. If something's not aligning in your life and your self-awareness journey, if certain habits continue to trickle in, if certain people continue to have an influence over your life, if certain things just consistently tend to happen, you want to change, but the same thing continues to happen. You need to go at a deeper level and dig deep into your subconscious mind, become more aware of a certain tendency. And once you're more aware of that certain tendency, then you have to have that desire and the willpower to want to change it. Once you have that, then you become more self-aware about it. Then you can reflect and figure out the different choices you need to make. Dig deep to really understand who you are so you can propel into the best version of yourself. And like I said before, dare to be self-aware. And for all the things I just talked about is the exact reason why I named my podcast the Self-Awareness Podcast. Because when you dedicate your life to be an evolving process of understanding who you are, of being self-aware, and making that your foundation, then in that, I personally feel, then you know how to, you will develop your purpose, you will develop self-love, you'll develop a better self-esteem, you develop a positive self-image, you will become more consistent with your habits, you'll have goals. Like, to me, all of this is intertwined with self-awareness, because no matter where we come from and who we all go through some type of trauma, and when we don't handle that trauma, it starts to manifest into different things. And once we become more aware of that trauma, that's when we can use that to help others, to heal, to just, the sky is just the limit at that point. But to me, the bridge between, hurt and pain, then to victory and peace, the bridge and between those things is being self-aware, in my humble opinion. So that's why I named my podcast the Self-Awareness Podcast. So we're going ahead and wrap up for today. I really hope that gave y'all some more insight on what self-awareness is. And if you think anybody else would be blessed by this message, please share, share, like, and also subscribe to this podcast. So I'm going to ask you the first 3 questions I asked you in the beginning, so you can reflect on your own time on these questions. So question 1. Do you at times struggle with facing the hard truths about yourself? Question 2. Do you reflect on your choices in life? And question 3. Are you self-aware? So, be honest with yourself, answer those questions. And we're also going to end off with this quote. To know yourself, you must sacrifice the illusion that you already do. By Veronica T. So, sacrifice that, persona that you already have. Put the pride down. Really look into the mirror If you're really struggling with something, if you're trying to overcome something, or if you're already self-aware and you're just trying to better another instance in your life, really, really dig deep. And always remember to dare to be self-aware. So I hope you guys have a wonderful Wellness Wednesday. Don't forget to check out the Instagram, the Facebook, the website. All of that will be in the description below. So take care, and I'll see you guys next time.